do you think the biggest improvements in water use efficiency on farm can be found?
Certainly storages. The research and the studies that have been conducted the last 10 to 15 years has pretty much documented that there's some huge losses occurring from evaporation in storages, anywhere between 10 and 40% of total on-farm inflows. And obviously this depends on the farming situation with their management, but obviously with the development of other technology, if we can minimise or change management to minimise those losses, there's going to be some huge savings there. Seepage from storage is another issue, and we've seen studies that have documented seepage losses anywhere between 2 and 10% of total in-farm flow, so there's some work to be done there. In terms of the distribution system, and what I mean by that is from getting the water from the storage to the field through channels and drains, etc. There's probably not a lot of... The industry's doing pretty well there. We've seen most of the losses are only in the order of sort of 1 to 5%. Having said that though, you've got to treat each farm on each case on its merit, so there could be farms out there with some leaky channels that need investigating. And lastly, if you look at the field, we've seen deep drainage losses anywhere between 5 and 15%. So there's certainly areas for improvement there.
What are the first steps a grower can take in tackling water use efficiency?
I guess what they can do is, to improve anything, you've got to know where you currently sit. So you need to do some objective measurements. So you need to know where your losses are occurring. You need to know what your efficiencies are. So what I mean is, do some objective measurement on your storage losses. What's your seepage? Are you losing excessive seepage? Know whether your distribution system's got some problems in it that may need rectifying, for example seepage or excessive evaporation. And thirdly, in field, know what's happening on field, know how much water you're applying and how much water is coming off, so you've got some idea how much water is being retained on the field.
So once you know that, most growers in the industry are smaller family farms. What would be the most cost-effective methods that growers could use to try and improve their water use efficiency once they know where they stand?
I guess of the suite of low investment options you've got, I guess scheduling equipment is a big one, and I know though it's been utilised in the cotton industry for a long time, but still there's a lot of room there for other growers that haven't quite grasped that technology yet to come in and see the benefits of it. It's not unusual to see water use efficiencies gains in the order of 10 to 15% from other growers that have used the technology. And I guess it's knowing when to irrigate is a big thing to improve your water use efficiency. Relying on the shovel and other sort of techniques over the years is probably old technology, and we need to, as a cotton industry, move to something that's a bit more objective.
What are some of the other tools that growers could use to improve their water use efficiency?
Well, I guess if you just work through the whole irrigation system on farm, if we look at the storages, there's storage meters out there now that measure accurate storage volumes, and again, to make use of those storage meters, you need to know how much. You need to have a storage survey. So a lot of the gauge boards that were put in years ago, we've found up to 20% inaccuracy. So by utilising some of this new equipment these days, you know precisely how much is in your storage at any given time of the day. Seepage is another thing which I mentioned earlier. So you need to be, there's meters out there now, pressure sensor transducers, which can measure seepage rates. So now we've got information available to growers that can let them make decisions on whether they move their storages or change their management to minimise that seepage. And then if you go through the distribution system, so we've got to get that water from the storage to the field, there's EM soil surveying where we can pick up whether there's any leaky channels or you've got any sand lenses through your channels, and again you could use some seepage assessments to see whether there's excessive losses in that distribution system. And finally, in field, and I guess there's lots of gains to be made there. In the past we've seen deep drainage could represent up to 5 to 15% of losses, of on-farm losses. So we've got equipment now like Irrigate, which is a surface irrigation optimisation package, where we can measure the water on and off fields and model it and see how well that's applied evenly to the field. So all this sort of technology is now available to growers for them to assess where those losses are occurring, and also what it gives them management options to address those losses.
What do you think the industry's biggest challenge in terms of water use efficiency is in the next 5 years?
Well, obviously water availability is the big thing, as I've said. Making that water go further, making that water more productive, more bales per megalitre. But I guess in terms of irrigation technology, I mean, we're seeing a lot of capacity within the within the cotton industry particularly, leave agriculture. So I guess there's going to be more focus on automation in the next 5 to 10 years to try and alleviate those labour shortages. And I would like to think that in the next 10 to 15 years we'd have a system where we could have a grower being able to sit on a computer and have real-time measurement of where the water is on his farm at any particular time of the day, and operate structures, etc. from his computer. I know the technology is available, but obviously the economics has to come into it. But these are all the sort of blue sky stuff which will come. It's just a matter of finances and the commitment from both government and the cotton industry to make that happen.